in a comment that covers his and his familiars' strategic philosophy. Louis Lapham once said, "If you're not a celebrity, you might as well be dead." That's very philosophical militarism being described from his war cabinet. And if you're a dead celebrity, you can be used for anything they want to be held faith with. Nobody else need apply for attention. So when you hear Roger Waters howling, "We don't need no education," you can be sure it refers to something very specific. This non-entity who they assassinated was a school bus driver in his retirement. And he meant nothing except that by illegitimate means, by usurping Pitt News, I forced them to give him a 3-spot of harness for his distinguished service. Now, when I got to Tacoma, I found a book collection. One of the books in the collection was Walter Culler's Religion in the Soviet Union. And look and behold, Dahlia Dugan took it out in 1974, and Mark Wagner took it out in 1974. Wagner is the name of an elite. Look what it's about again. An elite Russian military group. So some say that Bookdusters have their place. Not Louis Lapham. If a Bookduster isn't a celebrity, he might as well be dead. It's Louis Lapham's social military philosophy. I wasn't a book binder, you have to understand that, and I wasn't a bookseller. Schulman and Katz, the founders of Zabberwocky, were booksellers and book binders, respectively. I found something very interesting. A sort of parallel binding of 2 books, uniquely. One is by Paul, and it's called Letters to Gail. And the other is by Leslie, Salutation to 5, and they're uniquely similar in binding. Gail and Leslie, suggestive of something bookbinding, as distinct from spellbinding, might be going on in this War Room collection here in Tacoma. Now, Paul, we don't know what Paul. Paul, the walrus, is fond of jibing that Europeans are getting mad. We know that. We even know what they're getting mad about. They're getting mad about being found out in Gail Burston's plan. We know that they're getting mad about that. But what are they playing they're getting mad about is an upstart queerball. I'm not here to talk to them. I'm just here to set the record straight. People who were adults when I was left infirm from childhood slaughtering Manson ordeals at the hands of the Zios, or whatever they're called. I'm deaf, so I don't know how that's pronounced. Zionistas, the imbecile faction, the faction who brain masterminds the imbeciles of Pittsburgh, told me I was worthless nobody. You're deaf, so what? I was forced to internalize that and accept it, or be called a grudge person. Gradually, they sort of shook me awake. Wake up, queerball, time to die style. Like, Blade Runner. And they killed my father. And they made me understand that there was something politically fishy going on. No matter how serious I was trying to address the issues that seemed to me to be the most important ones: ecology, African access to medical data and resources, and entrapment, domestic terror operations, what was going on in El Salvador and Africa. I was called interfering by expressing an opinion. So I decided to just go into trying to find information and evidence for what was going on. And I proved the existence of a entrapment operation by the people who released AIDS. But were ready for that. They said, you were super important, it turns out, queerball. We were lying when we said you weren't important. You're super important. You're to blame for the murder of John Lennon. Now get on those marching boots and go down and grovel before the murdering assassins who tortured you as a child, so that Europe doesn't get mad at you. And they had cackling Yoko Ono with a syringe, ripper murdering people, hatching them in the heads and saying, I'm Malcolm X, I'm Malcolm X.